Hey, what's going on, guys? Kalamazi here, and this evening, a new Dragonflight beta build was pushed, well, to beta, and with it came a handful of Warlock changes, some relatively minor ones for each spec, but the bigger thing is that tier gear is now officially testable on beta. So this evening, I want to look at the changes, some Destro Demo AF ones, I think a general class tree change as well, and then get into looking at how the tier looks in combat. Now, I'll say right now, I'm making a video later this week looking at different builds of different specs in combat, trying to rank them like, damage wise, power wise, which to be fair is not that relevant now because, tuning hasn't really happened yet. But this video is not going to be like this build's 0.2% better than this build on a Wednesday night we could leg in a bear trap. This is just going to be, hey, this is how each build looks spec wise with tier, and we'll go from there. So that being said, yeah, a couple things we get too far in the video. Number one, the Clips channel does indeed have both the Destro and Demo Dragonflight tier videos up on it if you guys are looking for a quick summary of those talent trees for a few different builds you might want to play in plus. The Affliction one should be going up maybe with this video, potentially tomorrow. Either way, if you want a link to it, there's a link down below. And number two, once again, the Warlock Dragonflight beta spreadsheet is indeed now live on Patreon. The tier 3 Felgar ranker higher does indeed get early access to that. If you're looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here as well as down below in the video description. So with all that being said, let's jump into it and start off with some of the brief class changes and then jump into the tier gear testing. Okay, so keep in mind that Warlock for the past few builds hasn't really gotten a whole lot of changes. One of my larger concerns when it comes to, I guess when it came to beta in general, was that Blizzard put out a post a couple weeks ago saying that for the most part, we're done iterating upon talent trees. This is sort of what you got, and we're going to go from there and start tuning. The good thing, well, the main note that I'm curious or concerned about is like Flashpoint being here and having Scalding Flames here. Putting this here and this here is much better. Scalding Flames immolate damage increase is a universally applicable ability. It works everywhere. It immolates not on your target. It either just spawned or is about to die. You get value from this node everywhere, which makes sense being in the direct center of the tree. Now, I mean, Ashen Remains and Eradication, it feeds into both as well, which having to grab Flashpoint to feed into both like your single target or like two target cleave damage nodes feels pretty awkward. I think putting this over here with more of like the cleave section of the tree, I know it's coming out of Havoc and it sort of makes sense, but this makes sense too. I think putting this over here is much better than having this here to swap them. But what I'm getting at is the important thing is that Blizzard did indeed swap a lot of talent nodes around for mages today. I believe Druid's got a few too, and Shadow Priest got a rework for the 10th time this week. Apparently they're still pretty bad, but the important thing to drive home is that while Warlock is not getting a whole lot of class changes now, I don't expect meta Demo or UA AF to come back spender-wise. It's not happening, but there's still potential for iteration upon talent node, like changing talent node spots and things like that. So with that being said, let's look at the changes. A lot of these changes here are just like tooltip changes and weird like I think aura flagging and stuff like that. Nothing that big of a deal. The bigger ones, number one, is actually part of AF here. So Soul Flame, they straight up double the damage of Soul Flame. Currently, Soul Flame is not doing a whole lot of damage overall. It's been bugged. It's actually working now on alpha, on beta. I'm going to be running some dungeons this weekend. Mythic Plus is not out yet, but I'll be running some this weekend and testing it out. I think ID with like Soul Rot builds and playing like Grim Reach or Grim Feast is probably just better in AoE. But with the changes to Soul Flame, I've heard that it does a tremendous amount of damage now, a lot. So they essentially double the damage on it, which seems very strong. We'll test it out obviously and see where that goes. But AF in Mythic Plus got buffed. The build's already solid. You've already got access to, I mean, Vile Taint, Sacrilash slows, Grim Reach Darkler, Soul Rot every half a minute with your Vile Taints, Big ID, Soul Rot drain cycles. I'm curious if there's a build you can play that looks something like this maybe, where you pull points out of these. It's hard to say, I don't know, but I'm wondering if you actually need a point in So the Seeds here, if you're playing just a Rapture Spender kind of build for AF, and if you can more so just say, hey, I want ID and I want Soul Flame. I'm going to test with it, we'll see where it goes, but that's the big thing for AF. It was buffed by, well, essentially 100%. They double the damage of it. So, getting into Demonology. Now, there was not a whole lot of changes here. The only real big thing is that they fixed the Demonic Tyrant bug. It's like old Baleful Invocation. It now does indeed summon, give you 5 shards whenever you summon a Tyrant instead of 3, which is a nice change overall. It was this node. It was bugged at, 3 shards at both rank 1 and 2. This change to Inner Demons is the same thing. You still summon, 2 imps, whether you have 1 point in it or 2. It's just a tooltip change. They added the wild in combat clause, but I don't believe you summon demons passively outside of combat with this thing anyways previously. So same thing with Inner Demons. No change there. This is fixed for Tyrant. Stolen Power, they had to flag it as Fellfire Bolt. I guess they cast Fellfire Bolts now, and they used to cast Fire Bolts. It is indeed now working. We'll look at a build here in a little bit, which plays around Demon Bolt, which has sort of gotten out now. I was going to hold it for a little while, but it's already gotten out. It is not playing Stolen Power, but the effect is indeed now working. And that's also a note I wouldn't mind seeing swapped, maybe like somewhere else, because it being behind Portal feels a little bad, but it's what it is. And Destro. So not a whole lot here. This is a tooltip change. The only thing is that Infernal Brand got gutted. I think it was already gutted a bit. It got gutted even more. They don't like Destro. They don't like Infernal Brand. This ability seems to be very, very bad at this point. It still has some relevancy, I'm sure, with Random Chaos and things, but Destro is paying for its sins in Season 3 and 4. They nerfed it early in Alpha, and it is just taking more and more hits. But, it is what it is. Tuning is coming, and hopefully, they end up looking at it. So, as far as the general tree is concerned, they added a cooldown to Amplify Curse, or sorry, not a cooldown, a duration to it. You have to cast your next curse within 15 seconds. Everything else is the same. I believe they nerfed this somehow, but who cares? It's terrible. And that's basically it. Now, they did indeed remove Soulburn from the GCD in the last build. For those that didn't see, it has a cooldown on it now, so you can't spam it over and over with another Portal Demo. I'm a bit curious if they're going to add a cooldown to this, though, or like a duration to it, because you can queue a Soulburn proc, I guess stack with a charge, whatever you want to call it, before the boss is pulled, and then just like go into the boss with a charge, which I mean is fine. I don't think it's OP at all, but if they're adding a cooldown to Amplify Curse, or I guess a duration to it, I would assume Soulburn probably gets a similar treatment soon, but it's also sort of cool having a stack charge for the boss, or having a stack ready before the boss, and yeah, I don't know, we'll see. For the most part, that's all the changes. Let's get into some of the tier gear testing. Okay, so getting into Affliction here, the 2-piece and 4-piece, for those that haven't seen it, the 2-piece says when Agony grants you a Soul Shard, you have a chance to gain Cruel Inspiration, increasing your haste by 12% for 6 seconds. And the 4-piece says Cruel Inspiration also grants you 2 charges of Cruel Epiphany, up to 5 max. Each charge of Cruel Epiphany increases the damage of every next Rapture or Seed by 40%. So, number 1, if the 2-piece procs currently has a bug, it interrupts any Drain Soul or Drain Life cast. It's really annoying. You'll see it probably in combat at some point here. The 4-piece. So the question last week was, is it a stacking damage amp like 40, 80, 120, 160, 200, or is it just 5 individual like charges max of 40% damage increase? Blizzard clarified a couple of days ago that it is 4 individual charges of Epiphany at 40%. So there's no like weird 200% damage amp to a Rapture. I think it working like this, 5 individual charges of 40% is much better, because having one big 200% RNG chance, number 1, feels bad and probably promotes some pretty degen kind of rotational play and stuff. So number 1, there's a lot of bugs on beta this build. I don't know what happened, sort of broke. My combat log stuck over here. Half my buttons are glowing and not glowing. I don't know why. I don't know why this is glowing. We're playing Dread Touch build. So one thing obviously is like we're Dread Touching for higher uptime on, or Rapturing I should say, for more uptime on Dread Touch. We're still like trying to pool shards for Rapture windows basically every 45 seconds, with PS being there or having no Soul Rot, but there are times where I'll probably end up Rapturing a Dread Touch away, I guess a Rapture away for Dread Touch with a damage amp on it. It's just how it is. We'll see where the rotation goes in Sims, but that's just sort of where it's at right now. Number 2, well, honestly, let's just take a look at it actually. So we'll open up here, stack my pet, sounds good. All right, so we'll precast a Haunt. So Haunt, UA, Agony, Corruption, Stifle Life. Haunted Soul is indeed now fixed too, which is very cool. We'll drain the 3 here, cast our PS, cast our Dark Glare, start casting Raptures. So 1 stack, 2, 3. Here comes Dread Touch right now. There it is. Bang. So I have a proc here of a 40% increase to my Rapture, and I had a Crescendo proc there. I think I also got a proc and it interrupted my Drain Soul cast, which is a lot of fun. So the thing is, before beta broke and random abilities were glowing, it's very, very hard to differentiate between... I don't know, why is this glowing? It's at 20 stacks. I don't know. It's very hard to differentiate between what a tier proc is and what a Calamitous Crescendo proc, whatever thing's called, in your talent tree currently is, because they both make Rapture glow. Now I can just make a weak aura to show which one is which, but it does make things sort of awkward at times, because you can't always tell what's going on at certain points. Like, I didn't know I had an instant cast Rapture here. Is it that, or is it a empowered Rapture? Is it both? You really can't tell. So that might need to be addressed or looked at by Blizzard a little bit. we'll see where it goes. But besides that, I mean, the bonus feels fine. I actually don't mind it very much. It feels like solid B tier, roughly, like I said a couple days ago. It feels fine. Not incredible, but not terrible. It's fine. You end up getting like some buff raptures if need be. You're casting your dots in your pandemic invocation window. You're still trying to keep your touch up, casting Haunt on cooldown. Once again, Haunt Soul is fixed, so you're getting the full damage amp on your buffs or on your dots, and that's basically it. The faster drain souls feel good. That's just mostly it. The spec feels fine. The bonus actually is, I think, is relatively suiting. It'll feel better like once things are fixed and not broken and flashing at random points and all that, but it feels pretty solid. We maintained like 42,000 DPS roughly over the course of like, I think like 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes on dummy. We'll see what we can maintain here in a second. I'm gonna like probably try and we'll dark layer again and see the actual uptime on the effect. I think I scuffed stuff a little bit here, but for the most part, I mean, it feels fine. It's sort of a passive set it and forget it kind of tier bonus, but I mean, most classes are like that right now, whether you like it or not. Like most classes just got a simple, hey, this ability does, you know, 10% more damage, or this ability does 20% more whatever, right? That's just sort of how it is. So, but overall, it feels fine. So we have PS and 5 coming up here. I'm going to wait on this drain, I guess. It's fine. We'll just PS now. We can Dark Lair. I will Rapture a couple times to dump these shards. There's some actual empowered instant cast ones. Dump this big drain life. Hopefully it doesn't interrupt me with my proc. It doesn't. Very sick. Cool. And what are we at now? 40k. A bit lower than usual. I've averaged like 42k roughly, but I mean, the build feels fine. So, with that being said, so Rapture is about, or sorry, Rapture and UA are about the same. UA is typically a little higher, but we just ended a Rapture window there, so there's that. Right here, the Aura uptime on Cruel Epiphany, which is the actual, like, this is the actual Rapture stat count, right? Not that important. Cruel Inspiration is the actual, like, shard giving you haste effect. It was up for 42 seconds, roughly 24% of the time. So not too bad, actually. 7 procs, yeah, not too bad. I saw 20-ish% earlier, but either way, it's fine. UA being 18, Agony 13, Corruption, Siphon Life PS. So dots do more damage now. Feels good. 18%. We have 13 here, so we're looking at what? 31% roughly, 38%, 45% roughly, 50. So we're at like 50% just raw dot damage. If you're not, and that's not, that's like not including Drain Life or Drain Soul if you consider those dots in the first place. So I mean, like, this build feels good in single target. It doesn't feel anywhere near as bad as people think it is with Dread Touch. You have a lot of like just random Rapture procs from Crescendo, whatever this thing's called, Tormented Crescendo now, and you actually have more shards coming in also from your 2-piece. I mean, like, there's a small chance, I mean, more haste means more shard gen. There's a small chance here from Peon giving you a shard whenever you refresh a dot in pandemic range, right? It's honestly not that bad. Maintaining Dread Touch feels a lot better than people think it does, honestly, playing it a while here. I think it's good. It's a fine bonus overall. I don't think it really needs many changes. Obviously fix the bugs with Drain Soul and things, but yeah, I think it's fine. It's suiting for AF in single target and council fights. It works with Seed and Rapture, unlike the other bonus we have on retail now, only working with Rapture. They learned from that one at least. So I think AF bonus, solid B minus, somewhere around there. It's fine. Okay, so if you're looking at Demonology's 2-piece and 4-piece, I'll tell you right now that unfortunately the Fellstorm part of the bonus is bugged. You're only getting a Demon Bolt damage amp. Now, Fellstorm is not just this bonus, it is the bonus. It's also Demonic Strike that's bugged. It's also Felon Seal that's bugged. The only working Fellstorm damage amp from what I can see is in Tauren Armaments, and this just buffs the Felguard. Whatever like weird Fellstorm interaction they're missing, or that they have flagged, it's not working for anything. So whenever they fix Felon Steel, whenever they fix Demonic Strength, whenever they fix a 2-piece, Demo will receive a pretty substantial DPS increase. Not like a crazy amount, but enough where it's noticeable, I think, in single target. You might also notice here we're playing a bit of a spicy build. This is the Demon Bolt build of Demonology. I was gonna see where it went and not play it a whole lot for a little while and see what's up. It's already being talked about in stream and stuff, so I figured we pull it out. Why not? This is the best build of Demo in single target right now. There might be some variance in like the talents you play. I think you might want a point in Inner Demons. You might go like one here, because this gives you 2 passive imps regardless, whether it's 1 point or 2. But this is the best build of Demo in single target from what I've seen. More variance though with it, like FTS uptime with Power Siphon and Fell Covenant. No Vile Fiend, no Grimoire. We'll talk about it more later on in the week when we're looking at that build comparatively to other builds, right? But the big thing is that the 2-piece Demon Bolt damage increase. A lot of other Demon Bolt damage amps in the actual tree. Very cool. The 4-piece is not very good. It makes your Hand of Golden instant cast if you get if it procs off Demon Bolt being cast, and it increases the damage by 50%. Now it's bugged right now. I can't even tell what the bug is. I think it's proccing, but just not giving the effect. I think it checks. I think it works so it checks for. How do I word this? It gives you a chance to proc the ability, I think, whenever the bolt hits the target, not upon resolution. So there's times where I'm like at range and I'm casting a bolt, like instant cast bolt into a Hand Gul'dan, and I'll get a proc in the middle of a Hand Gul'dan, and it will just consume the instant cast proc and not give me an effect. It seems really odd. Make it check upon resolution. Either way, it's whatever. The other bug is it just doesn't really work. So we'll just say it's bad. It doesn't seem very good either way. I don't believe it's going to buff imp damage. I hope they rework it. The 2-piece is like infinitely better than that, and not because it's OP, just because the 4-piece doesn't really do anything. All right, so looking at it in combat here, honestly, the rotation's pretty simple. You don't have a Vile Fiend or a Grimoire. You just sort of cast your pets, and that's that. And once again, I'll have a more in-depth video on this in the next few days, comparing like single target builds of Aff, Demo, and Destro to one another. So open up here, pray we don't get a bug. We got a bug, that's sick, it's all right. Welcome to beta. So we'll cast our dogs here. We got a proc, that's super 6. We'll just go into building a Tyrant. This build is playing Sack Souls. Here's the actual like Demon Bolt Legendary tracker here too. So you're playing Sack Souls. The big thing, try and get pets out. Empower your Demon Bolts. So let's go hand here for Sack Souls damage value. Launch a big bolt. 41k. 41k Demon Bolt non-crit. That's like an 4k Demon Bolt crit roughly. Dude, and that's the thing. Like, our damage is at 40k, but it'll climb. This build maintains a lot of consistent damage. There's a proc there, too. Yep, the 4-piece is bugged out and scuffed. I think I lost a hand. I can't even really tell. But the cool thing is, like, I have Power Siphon again, literally, well, now. So let's cast our dogs. We can Power Siphon, Hand Gul'dan, launch some bolts. 46k, 50k non-crit. That's literally a 100k Demon Bolt outside of our Tyrant window. Synergy procs with your Tyrant, with this 4 stacks, and like Power Siphon in that window, that's where the huge Tyrants actually lie. It's a weird 4-piece proc there. I don't even know what it's doing. I'll try and cast it. I guess it was instant cast there. Maybe it's working at times. I don't actually know. I'm just sort of along for the ride at this point. So we'll Tyrant here. I'll Demonic Strength. We'll cast both of these hands here. We're going to lose FTS, which is a little unfortunate here, but not much you can do. Power Siphon, Bolt, 55k Bolt. 55k Bolt. That's actually insane. I'm losing my actual buff here. It's hard to maintain. It's hard to maintain than you think, because like there's a lot going on. You're not casting a whole lot of Shadow Bolts, but this build can put out an insane amount of damage. You open up with like 2 crits back to back of Demon Bolts, you're cruising at constant 46k the entire time. So overall, like, the cool thing is that the 2-piece just builds even more into this build. We're doing a bit more than we were as Aff, albeit both builds are a little scuffed here, half paying attention, but we're doing more than we're doing as Aff by a couple thousand, and we also have a broken Fellstorm. Whenever they fix it, it's going to be doing a lot more, plus another bug Demon Bolt cast right there, right? Or Hand Gul'dan cast. So Demon Bolt being about 20%, Dreadbite being about 19, Fellow Firebolt being about 17, Dreadstalker is about 12, so our dogs are doing about 31% of our damage, Demon Bolt being about 20, our pets and Hand Gul'dans, all that stuff here too. I forgot to turn the eyeball on, but that's fine. And that's mostly it. Fel Covenant should be about 100% uptime, higher than it was, but it dropped in the middle of this. The cool thing is, like, the 2-piece synergizes well with this build. It's Demon Bolt damage, it's Fellstorm damage. Whenever it's fixed, it just fits the build really well. It's like you're playing 2 different builds from retail right now. You have like your big dog build, you have 3 dogs, pet damage amp, and you also have Demon Bolt build, right? You've got Shadow's Bite, which is actually good in this build. Power Siphon, Fel Covenant, which is old Balespider's Burning Core, and Sack Souls, plus like Wilfred's with Tyrant for just more frequent pet extensions, all that kind of stuff. The build's solid. It feels well-rounded, and honestly, it's just pretty good. So I saved the best, meaning the worst, for last. That is Destruction. So Destro's 2-piece, it works like how Aff's does. The 2-piece, the 4-piece works off the 2-piece proccing, right? So 2-piece, consuming Soul Shards, Rain of Fire, or Chaos Bolt has a chance to grant you Chaos Maelstrom, increasing your crit by 10% for 10 seconds. That's fine. It might be a little off, like percent-wise or duration-wise, but that's okay. No real problems there. The problems lie in the 4-piece. So during Chaos Maelstrom, the 2-piece effect for 10 seconds, your Chaos Bolt, Conflict Rate, and Incinerate crit strikes explode on the target, dealing 10% damage dealt to enemies within 8 yards. Damage reduced beyond 5 targets. So this ability does work in single target. Cry Havoc also works the same way. It'll splash enemies in single target, but you don't really play it in those settings. So I will tell you, this ability is better in AoE by a little bit. It's still not incredible. I'm going to look at it in single target. I think it's where the issues lie. I don't think a tier bonus should be built around AoE. I like it being built around like one thing, whether it's pure single target or pure AoE, either way. But if it's going to be built around one thing, I think single target is better. Having your 4-piece being your larger bonus built around AoE and having it be anywhere from 2% to 10% is way too much of a DPS swing and just not very good. So I'm going to play this build here and hit this dummy just to see how much the actual damage it does. What are we playing? Oh, we're playing this is THC's build, sort of, I think, right? Channel Demon Fire, Roaring Blaze stuff. Yeah, we'll see where this goes. So let's just open up here. And once again, this does indeed work in single target. My combat log is here. If it procs, we'll try and look at it here. It'll be called like Chaos Maelstrom damage or something. There's no separation between like Conflict Rate, Incinerate, or Chaos Bolt in the meters, like depending on whatever you cast in the window. It's all just like chaos damage or whatever. So yeah, so that being said, I have a pet out. Let's do it. This guy out. Sack this dude. Sounds good. I killed Belgrave. Sag. All right, let's do it. Incinerate, Immolate, put the rock down. Just that. Get my CDF on cooldown. And I want you guys to see how much of an actual percent of our damage it is in single target. We're also playing, yeah, the 2-piece, 4-piece here. So, sure, it procced there. So we have it up already. It already procced. So there's that. Where is it at? Chaos Maelstrom. Maelstrom Fire, that's what it's called. Maelstrom Fire, which is like sort of similar to Chaos Maelstrom. It's the same thing. But the thing is, like, if you look at how much damage it dealt, if you saw it there, or even if you pull it up right now, like, it is not much, man. It is sitting at, like, where is it? I can't even tell where it's at. It's not, it's there. At 2.3%. My 4-piece procced on pull with my CDs, and it's doing a whopping 2.3%. That is just putrid. That is just really bad. It feels like in single target, Destro doesn't really even have a 2-piece. Now, if they want us to like cater towards Destro's like cleave, like 2-target cleave, I guess that's sort of a thing, but it still seems pretty bad too, because like there are settings where Destro can be played in a single target. It's customizable. It's customizable enough to be able to do that. You have CDF, you have Soulfire, you have a lot of abilities that work in single target, but like with a 4-piece doing, has it even procced again? A whopping 1.9% of my damage with, one proc over the course of how long have I been in combat for? Like a minute and a half. Yeah, it needs help. So I think the best idea, like honestly, if they want to keep this bonus, have it do more damage like in single target. Have it do more damage to like the main mob you're hitting. So it's like worthwhile in single target. And you could have the cleave effect work at AoE if need be, and reduce the damage like modifier or like the damage percent from like, you know, from 2 to 10 to like, I don't know, like 7 to 10 or something. 2%. 10% is way too much of a swing. It's just way too much RNG in a spec that's already well riddled with RNG, being Destro. So we'll see where it goes. So look at the procs here. Maelstrom Fire hit for 1,700 chaos damage off a Chaos Bolt. They hit 42k. It hit for 3,500 damage off a Chaos Bolt. They hit for 37k. And this is proc twice over the course of 2.5 minutes. Now proc chances are whatever, RNG is RNG, but like in the end, if my 4-piece is doing 2% of my damage, I'm pretty disappointed. So yeah, that wraps it up. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video gave you guys a quick sort of in-depth look at how Warlock tier looks so far in the first build of Dragonflight with it active, I guess. We have raid testing coming this Friday. There's 2 heroic bosses and 1 mythic. I should be streaming all of it on my stream if you want to come by and check it out. I mean, if you have me rank them all, like Demo's 4-piece is really awkward. I think it's gonna get reworked. Hopefully it gets reworked or changed somehow. The instant cast handing gul'dan sequencing, like just the effect that procs out of nowhere when you're like in the middle of a tyrant setup or something else, just seems odd. It probably takes some getting used to. It's probably okay in the long run, but like it just feels sort of weird. If I had to rank them all from like top to bottom, I think it's Demo with like how good the 2-piece works with like your bonus for Demon build and like Buglar damage, followed by Aff. Aff just feels fine. Aff's bonus feels like it's polished and ready to go. It gives you haste, which gives more shard gen and other things at times. And when you get more haste, it gives you 2 stacks of a damage amp to Rapture or Seed, which feels good. Demo is a dumpster fire probably. The 2-piece is fine, honestly. I wouldn't mind like the crit chance being a little higher maybe, but 10 for 10 is fine. The 4-piece is just really bad. I don't know. That's a back to the drawing board kind of angle, or like you have to redesign it so much it's basically been redesigned. You know what I mean. So I don't know. Overall, Aff good. Demo probably pretty good. Needs 4-piece 4P needs some help. Destro needs a lot of help. But yeah, so with that being said, let me know what you guys think of the builds down below in the comment section. If I missed any interactions in this video or anything at all that you think I should hit on or look at, drop them down below. I'll be sure to get back to you. I am looking at playing a few different builds and testing this weekend, or I guess on Friday. So yeah, I guess we'll see where it goes. A couple fights look like pretty big Destro fights, though, so we'll find out for sure if that 4-piece is good. I don't think it is, but yeah, so. Well, that being said, I want to give one huge shout out to my patrons before we end the video. Thank you guys for supporting Patreon a million times. Once again, really, really appreciate it. If we're looking at supporting on Patreon, should be a link up here as well as down below. And with that being said, yeah, thanks for watching, guys, and I will catch you all again soon on stream. Peace.